I think it was Michelangelo who said that he would, when he was making statues, he would see the statue already, he would see the man or the statue already in the block of marble, or the block of, what do they use? Marble? Yeah. He would have a block of marble, and he would already see the marble, the man in the statue, and he would just chip away anything that didn't look like the man. And what is he saying? It's already there. He would just chip away anything that didn't look like that. And all that would be left would be the man or the statue that was already there. I mean, just really ponder on that quote of his, Michelangelo's. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. That is the willingness to reveal the statue that is already there. So I think the greatest realization of today, one of the greatest realizations that you can continue to ponder on, is that which you are willing, that which you have willingness for or towards, has already happened or is already there. All you're doing is bringing yourself to its fruition. It's already happened. I think some wise words came through one of my OMG members in Melbourne, Amadeus. Everyone remember Amadeus? Amadeus in Melbourne. Somebody asked the question, what's desire then? And I never know the answers to the questions, and if I do, I don't want to know, because I want to know from this moment. So in other words, I want to know from the unknown. In other words, I want to say it as though I'm saying it for the very first time. When I get up on stage at Intuitive Warrior tomorrow, I've done the Intuitive Warrior maybe hundreds of times, maybe not hundreds yet, but I've done the WTF hundreds of times. But I will never get up on stage with what I know. I will never take on stage what I already know. I would rather speak from this moment, or from the unknown, from the infinite possibilities, which is the unknown. And then I know when I'm speaking from the unknown, because when I say something, it feels like I'm saying it for the very first time, although I may have said that. And that's why people come back and do the programs over and over and over again. They're like, I've heard you say that before. So it doesn't even go from saying things, it also goes from receiving things. People go, I've already heard you say that before. But it felt like I heard it for the very first time. It reached to a different depth. It reached or touched a different place in me. Because the person who's listening is listening from the unknown. What does it mean to listen from the unknown? You're not sitting there going, yeah, I know this, I know this. Or how does this relate to what I know? How does this relate to what I want to fix, improve, or change? That's why when people come and sit in front of me, I say, don't sit here with what you know. Sit here, don't listen to what the words I'm saying, because if they're listening to the words I'm saying, they're relating it to all the other things that's going on in their life. Don't sit here and go, I know this. Just sit here and be here and just feel this. That's why I say that. So Amadeus, the question was asked, what about desire? And the moment somebody asked the question, I don't know the answer. Like I just said to you, I don't want to know the answer. So I don't go up here. I go and see, what do I feel? What do I feel? And begin to express what I feel based on that question. It's the same thing I do with myself. I ask the question here. I don't look for the answer from the place I ask the question from. This is a tool. You don't find the answer in the tool. You use the tool. You don't become the tool. I ask the question here, realize the answer here. When I say realize, I don't find it. I realize, that's the more truest word, because you're realizing what you already know. Or you're remembering the answer that you already know. Amongst the unknown. And why is it always amongst the unknown? Because it's infinite. So it's never known. The moment it becomes known, it becomes a version of the answer. So while I am about to give the answer, Amadeus jumped straight to it and gave a really good answer. And I'll polish it up a little bit to give you what he said, right? But it was a profound answer. And then I asked Amadeus, I said, did you know the answer to that question that he just asked you? Or the person who asked the question, do you know the answer to it? Did you know it? He goes, no. Okay, that's my point right there. Right there, he did exactly what I'm talking about. And his answer was, desire is the space between you and this outcome. Right? So let me polish that. It wasn't exactly in those words, but let me polish it up. Who you are is one. You made yourself into two. Then in between here, right, you have this thing called desire. You go, I love to be here. I love to do this. I love to outcome, be a pilot. I love to get my pilot license, outcome. And in between this space here is what you experience desire. Now, if the point of the game, though, is not to arrive here, it is to create or manifest this experience that you're going to have from going from here to here. Like I talk about in the WTF experience. If you're having or making love with someone, it is not the desire to arrive. It is actually the process. And if you're truly enjoying the process, you want to prolong it. Because it's about what happens between here and the point of arrival. If I can call it arrival. Or if you're having a fantastic meal, a really beautiful, delicious meal. Maybe a $400 bottle of wine, or really expensive piece of steak, a $200 steak. Or for the vegetarians, as I always say, a $200 piece of mushroom. My point is, when you're having this meal, whatever you love to eat and whatever you find delicious, it's not about getting you to be fulfilled. It's not about arriving at the outcome. Because if it is about arriving at the outcome, you missed the taste. You missed the experience of what it tasted like. If you're just eating because you're starving, right? You missed it. You just want to, I'm hungry, I just want to be full. You missed it. You missed this space, this journey that takes you from here to here. Now, like I said to you, there's just one, it's like one drop, or one ocean, or let me just use the metaphor of drop, makes itself into two. And the idea is for you to reunite with this drop again. And you then call this outcome, results. And amongst this space, this journey, that is the experience that you came to have, not the experience of arriving. Because if you think about it, you were already there. You're already there. The reason you split yourself into two is so you can have this experience of reuniting with yourself. So it's this experience that takes place in the middle that Amadeus called the desire. I thought it was a brilliant thing he said. Who thinks that's pretty brilliant, what he said? Hey, that doesn't come from here. That comes, and that's why I said, did you know that answer? Because I know he didn't read in a book. I could feel where it came from. He goes, no. So I asked, did you even know what you said? And then he forgot already. I said, repeat what you just said. It's gone. Because he went straight to his head. What did I just say? That's a pretty awesome answer. And that's what we're here for. This experience. And the outcome is never the outcome. You know, you never arrive at the outcome. The only place you arrive in is here. If you are here along your path, then you already arrived. But you're having an experience. But if you're here, or here, where you started and where you want to end up, the goal or the outcome or the results, if that's where you're at, you're missing out the experience that you wanted to have, called the desire. You're missing out. So then when you arrive there, you're like, something's still missing, because you missed out. To put the rugby league we just had this weekend. I mean, most of you guys watched, well, not most of you. Who watched the grand final over the weekend? Oh, it's a big group. Half of you watched the grand final over the weekend. The reason why it was such an outcome to have won the grand final was because of all the experiences they went through before they arrived here. You see? If they didn't have this in between and they arrived there, what would be the experience? Imagine you're in a football team and then it's game one, round one, and then come 6 months later, right? Imagine you didn't have to go through the 6 months and all the years between that of losing all the other games and losing all the other finals and losing all the other grand finals and, you know, whatever. And having all the other references of people saying, oh, I've never even been in a grand final. Imagine you didn't have all that in between. What would be the grand final? So what? I don't care. I won the grand final. You see, it doesn't mean anything. But when I say it doesn't mean anything, I'm not talking about the meaning that's nothing less that I spoke about last month. So what I'm trying to point out here is that it is all about here. We spoke about to will something that's future or past. That is, as you put it, the ego. That is to force something. Willingness is happening here, in the middle. Anyway. microphone, please.
I had a question about will, and you've referenced before about being moved to do something, and then you were talking about your flying incident, and you were saying that you felt that you were going to fly again, but you didn't do anything from there. You just let that be, didn't think about it, and then the situation came again sometime later that you felt to move. And I'm just wondering the difference when you feel inspired to do something in your life, the fine line between making a move to do something, because you've also mentioned before, you've got to still act as if it's happening. You know what I mean? You've still got to make moves in your life as if it's happening. Otherwise, it's not just going to come to you.
What do you mean as it is happening? Those are not my words. So I just want to
no,
make sure.
I'm not using your words, but for instance...
I wouldn't say that. So.
No. I think one of your truth of the days,
yep.
I can't remember it exactly, but the subject was around not sitting around waiting for life to come to you,
yep.
and making the move towards the things that you love.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering when you're talking about the flying, you know, you didn't think about it and you didn't move towards it, you actually just left it, and then again it came to you, it moved through you again. So I'm just wondering the fine line.
Let's get clear
between that.
So the feeling that I felt was, oh, I have a love to fly.
Yeah.
I feel that's all the feeling was. Is like, wow, you just have this realization, I love to fly. And you just get this feeling of being in the plane again and what it felt like. And that's all I felt. I didn't feel to move, right? Because if I did, I would right there, right? But I just noticed it. I can't even remember thinking anything further. So that's all I can tell you is that I felt a love to fly, right? Right there, I knew I would be flying, because that's how it happens. You know, it's almost like the feeling. I become aware of the feeling that's already there, and that's all I do. I just then notice it. I give space to that feeling. Now, giving space for that feeling does not mean it's starting to think to take up space away from that feeling. Now, most people then go and think, well, what am I meant to do with this? Can I really fly? Should I really be flying? Oh my God, I really want to fly. You know? And then all that does is consume space from that feeling. Okay? Just like anything. It's like a child, when conceived, it needs 9 months before you can give birth to it. All right? So this feeling's just there. It wasn't ready for me to give birth to it. Right? When I give birth to it is when the next feeling comes to act. Now, that's the next part, right? So in the story, how it came about was I manifested someone who went, hey, I said, let's catch up at this time on Saturday. They said, oh, I can't, I'm flying. I said, where are you flying to? I'm actually getting a flying lesson. Oh my God, I feel to do that. Can you book me in? Like, that was it. Speak to them and book me in. I'm coming with you.
I guess what's happening in my life right now is I have a feeling to do something different that surprised me, and I don't. And then obviously then I've been thinking about it. Like, do I do something about it? Do I not? Do I leave it? I don't feel to do anything. But then I'm like, well, maybe that's just my mind saying I don't feel to do anything.
Look,
you know, maybe I'm
once you're confused, forget about it.
Right.
Because then you're going, well, maybe that's my mind. It's a spin.
You know what
it's
I
a
mean?
spin.
Yeah, and I don't want to get sucked into that.
Okay, so then let it go.
I just want to leave it.
So then you let it go, because when that feeling came to you to do something different, all right, chances are you weren't thinking, should I be doing something different?
No.
It just found you. That's how the next move will come to you as well.
And so it could be, the feeling can be quite premature to that action in your physical life.
There's no right or wrong way. Sometimes I feel something and I act on it straight away. Sometimes I'm acting and feeling at the same moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did that come from? It's like someone who jumps into a burning house and saves someone. Like, they acted and then they noticed what they were feeling.
Momentaneously.
Yeah, it was just like, boom. And then everyone was like, what did you think? And then you're just like, I didn't. I just felt to do that.
It's perfect when you say the confusion, because that's just enough for me.
Forget it. That's it.
If it's not clear, then don't.
The thing is, the part of you that's trying to resolve the confusion is the part of you that made you confused.
I know, right?
I know. That's the funny thing. So the moment you're confused, let go of trying to make a decision and just let it go. You've got to really let it go.
Yeah.
Go back to doing whatever else you're doing.
Yeah.
That's it. I always focus on what's in front of me. You know, like today, like I'm running a lot in my mind about my procedures, and like when you're flying, sorry to get back to flying again, but I probably will in the next few OMGs. But when I'm flying, there's a lot of formulas. Okay, so let's get clear about this. Formulas or procedures are for machines, all right? They're not for human beings, right? I still fly the plane intuitively, but I'm operating a machine. So I have all these formulas and procedures to follow. My point is, driving here, and even over the last night, I'm running these formulas in my mind. Okay, you know, for example, you know, your landing checklist. It's got to be in your mind. You know, brakes, undercarriage, mixture, fuel, you know, instruments, switches, you know, it's all in my head, right? So I'm running these formulas, right? But here's my point I'm trying to get at. Then I notice I'm running these formulas because I'm practicing for my flying. Then I notice I'm driving here. The moment I notice I'm driving here, I let go of all that. I love flying right now, but right now it's OMG. You see, so I just focus with what's in front of me, right?
So the moment that you notice that you're driving here is the moment you kind of came back into presence.
But came here,
yeah.
Right? So you know, it's just following the feeling. Even this morning, I was going to go to the gym, right? And I'm in the car, and I'm like, I just felt I need to have some space before I came to OMG, not rush. So I just went back upstairs and had a shower and didn't go to the gym. So it's just moment by moment. So what I'm trying to say is that if you can stay in the moment, you will refrain from going to confusion, right? Confusion is just going to too many steps ahead. That's all.
Trying to control something.
That's it. So right now I am in OMG, and that's all I focus on, and I'm very fulfilled in the OMG talk conversation that I've had. Now, if my mind was consumed by something that I'm going to be doing on Thursday, which is the next time I'm flying, right? I couldn't be here 100%, which means I couldn't be present, which means I couldn't be willing the information 100%. That's all. So the moment I'm driving here and I'm still in aeroplane mode, it's gone. When I probably leave here, I might go back to the office and do some more airplane practicing. I don't know. It's gone. That's what I'm saying. So it's about focusing with what's in front of you. So if you're confused, let it go. All right? Just because the reason you don't want to let it go is because the ego wants resolution. I just need to know what I'm doing. It doesn't want to be in the unknown.
Yeah,
I need to know. I need to know.
Well.
Hey?
And they're feeling strong too. So it's like, wow,
yeah.
We're going to do with this strong feeling, you know, it's a big deal.
What do you mean, the feeling strong?
The feeling to do something different was quite strong.
Right.
I was like, this is weird. I didn't expect that to come out of nowhere. Yeah.
Let it go. It will just my point was, just like how the feeling found you, it will find you again. Okay? For me, if the feeling finds me and there's action involved, I got to act. That's it. I just have to act on the action. And I'm very clear about what's a reaction and an action now. So like, if it's me thinking about something and I'm just reacting, I notice it. And you know, if I needed to have a reaction, then I will have the reaction, and I'll be okay with that, and I'll experience that, and I'll have my experience. So, you know, I've learned from both. The biggest mistake most people do is like, oh my God, it's a reaction, I shouldn't be doing this, and it's just, all you're doing is reinforcing it. Does that answer your question?
It does answer my question, and it was good to know about the reaction thing too, because it's something that I've noticed more and more recently, how I might go into reaction and how I don't judge it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you kind of watching yourself and you're laughing about it, because you're like, wow, look at me go, there I go, you know, and you know what you're doing.
So you're becoming conscious of what you're doing.
But you just let it happen. And yeah, it's not like you shouldn't be doing it, but you're aware that you're doing it. And
That's
how
right.
at the point where it happened that it made you go into reaction.
That's right.
So it's cool.
That's the greatest thing, is because people come down on this path and they think, oh, I shouldn't be reacting. Well, You should be, because you're reacting. So have your reaction, all right? Don't resist your reaction. Because most people will want to go, no, I should be neutral, I should be neutral. Well, you're not neutral. Well, I shouldn't be an ego, Like, there's been times, people, my friends have said, oh, in that website, were you an ego? Everyone was saying you're an ego. I'm like, I don't know, and I don't care. Like, if I was, then great, I was. There's not a part, my brain is not going, well, I shouldn't be. It's not doing that. It's very rare my brain will go, well, I shouldn't be. Well, I am. So that means I should be. So, but the key is to observe and become aware of it, which then brings consciousness into what you're experiencing. So therefore, later on, you start to do things consciously. And if you're doing
the reaction doesn't last long. Like, it's finished, and then I don't carry it on into other things and then let that affect all the other things.
Yeah.
Which is something
the chain
I did
effect
in the past. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Question? So did you get the formula part? Formula is for form. Formula, Formula, formula. Lots of little play on words today, isn't there? Formula, motivate. Formulas are for form. It's for forms. Now, most people think who they are is form, even the body. So therefore, they need formulas. And they need to follow formulas. We are not machines. We can operate machines, but we are not the machine. I am operating the flight, so there's lots of formulas. Lots of physics, lots of mathematics, and I need to know those formulas for operating the machine. But you can't have formula for creativity. You can't have formula for love. You can't have formula for willingness. We are not machines. I had this question come from Amadeus again. He was asking, he had a business coach, and he was talking about putting all these structures into his business, because his coach, these are the things that I'm going to be focusing on next year, is for people, how do you build a business this way? How do you build a company this way? How do you do your finances this way? Anyway, but he was asking about the coach that was getting him to systemize everything and structure everything in his business, and had all these formulas. And he goes, it was making me feel heavy. And I said, nothing wrong with formalizing things that are automatic, that are day to day. My emails automatically go out when someone subscribes. It's formulated. I've built a system. But the idea of building that can't come from formula. Formula is for the past. So I manifest, or I have creative ideas. I have creativity flowing through me. There's no formula there. There's no formula to what I'm doing right now. But whatever that has been spoken, or whatever that I have formed, that has been formed, that can be structured. Do you understand what I'm saying? The things that doesn't involve creativity. It doesn't require human beings. My rule of thumb in business is that if I'm dealing with human beings, I don't want formula. Because formula takes the connection away between human beings. I don't want formula in speaking. No, thank you. I don't mind formula in my invoicing and how they get paid and when they get paid and and paydays on this day. That's the system in the company. Everyone knows this is payday and this and whatever, all the operational stuff. These emails get sent out on these days. Yeah, that's fine. Structure that all you want. That's a machine. But if it's got to do with human contact, if it's got to do with creativity, no formula. Formula is for form. In other words, for what's already been formed. You can't give formula to the formless coming into form. But once it's been formed, give it a formula. Give it a system, give it a structure, do whatever you want with it. Can you see what I'm saying? Does that make things a lot clearer? Who had the microphone? Yes, Eckhart.
I still have a question about free will.
Yeah.
When you were driving, you were thinking about flying, and then it came to that you are driving to OMG, and for me, I thought the free will is to make decision. Yes, OMG, no, flying. We have the free will to choose.
See, you're still having the thought that free will is choosing. Free will is chosen. So, if I can go back to my experience of driving here, right? And like I said, over the last couple of days, I'm running all these things in my mind, and I love to do it. Okay, I'm usually not a formula person, but you know, I'm operating this machine that I love to operate. I'm running through all these formulas. Then I just have a realization that it's time for OMG. That's my free will, and I am realizing that it's OMG time. I spoke about this in the retreat, you know, where I'm sitting down at the retreat, we're on a break, and as I'm sitting there, then I just have this realization that it's time to go in. And I'm speaking with someone, and then I'm just like, yep, and I just get up and walk away. And it's not me going, I think I should go in now. There's no should, could, would. It's not me going, should I go in now? It's me just realizing it's time to go in. So it's very difficult to put this into words, but you know what I'm talking about. You're just trying to clarify for yourself. All right? I know you know. So, and I'm trying to help you clarify, but the best I can clarify is that free will, or when you're experiencing free will, you're noticing that it is chosen, like you have already chosen. You just notice that you've already chosen to now move on and focus on OMG. Okay? Now, I could then go, no, I don't want to think about OMG right now, right? That's then me, the part of me in duality, choosing not to follow what is chosen. Can you see what I'm saying? I then go, no, I don't want to focus on that right now. But it was that was a moment. And when I don't follow the free will, right, which is really my free will, right? When I don't follow my free will, then all I'm noticing is the same as you would experience. You start to get confused, it starts to get heavy, it starts to get foggy. What was I trying to, and you're trying to focus on the plain thing, you're like, and you're struggling because your heart's gone this way, but your head still stayed here. You got to align the heart and the head to become one. So that's all. It's just like I just noticed that it's OMG time. So I go to OMG. And I noticed that I didn't go to the gym. I always go to the gym. You know, well, OMG happened to be on a Tuesday. I usually go to the gym on Tuesdays. I always go to gym on a Tuesday, right? But I noticed when I came to the car, I was like, I think I need to sit and go through and give space to today's content. Even though I already spoke about it in Melbourne. And I'm glad I did, because I had some more realizations that I brought to the circle. Stuff that I didn't talk about in Melbourne. So that's the best way I can put it. It's just, I just noticed that, you know, it's chosen. Now, your ego goes, well, who chooses? If I didn't choose, who else is choosing? I want to be in control. You see? But that's only the part of you that thinks it's the drop. See, the drop is actually the ocean. The passenger on the plane is actually the pilot. It's just the passenger doesn't know it's the pilot. So really, the passenger is the one that's made a decision as the pilot. Anything else?
Not now.
I'm sure you've had experiences of yourself, of your own, where you just notice that you've, you know, it's like I talk about in other references in the WTF. I talk about falling in love, or even doing what you love to do. The ego hijacks that thought and goes, oh, I decided to do what I love to do. No, you just realize that you love to do this. So then you go, I decided that I love to play football. No, you realize that. You realize I love playing, or falling in love. You didn't go, I'm going to choose, I have free will, I'm going to choose to fall in love. No, you didn't choose. You realize that you fell in love with this person. You realize that you love this person. You realize that you have feelings towards them. You have feelings for them. But you didn't choose. Because think about it. If the part of you that's choosing has been choosing for a long time. Well, hang on, I don't like that about them, or I don't like this about them, or I don't, think about the person you fall in love with them. There's things you don't love about them. There's things that you're like, oh, I don't know, but you love them. The part of you that's choosing is never content, never satisfied. Never. Because the grass is always greener on the other side. As John D. Martini would say, when you're with the one, you're looking for the many. When you're with the many, you're looking for the one. And that's very true. But the part of you that's choosing is always looking for the other side. Is always looking for improvement, is always looking for a better option, the better seat in the plane, the better seat in the cinema, the better seat in the car. It's always looking for the better option. The better seat in the office, the better side of the footpath to walk on. It's always looking for the flip side, the better side. But the part of you that's chosen, you just realize, oh, I love this person. But then the ego hijacks the thought and it thinks it owns as though it made that decision. Why? Because it wants to be in control. Hang on, where did that feeling go? I love them. And then it will validate why it loves them. I love the way they look, and we have great love making, and they're a great cook, and it goes all into reasons, validations of form. But that's not why you love them. You love them because you feel yourself in them. So therefore you fell in love with them, right? But you need to have a reason of why you love them. Oh, they're just like me, they've got two eyes and they've got two ears. They're just so similar, We're both into flying, we're both into this, we're both into this. And then when it's time to move on because that relationship is finished, then you'll have all these reasons why it's not working out. Well, they fart in bed and they're this and, they have, they just they don't listen or, and you have all these reasons why you don't. But no, the feeling told you it's moved on, it's finished. And the feeling is free will. And to follow the feeling is free willy. That is what it is to free willy. And that's what you're here to do. And everything that I talk about is about freeing willy. You're here to free willy. Do you call yours Willie as well? See? He's got a free willy. The Americans will laugh at that way more than you guys.
I'm trying to think about the dolphin.
Oh, the dolphin. You want to free your dolphin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a whale.
A whale. It's a whale, sorry.
Downsized him. A whale. Yeah. Dolphin.
No, that's a free will. Free willy is the whale.
Downsized your free willy. No, I don't want a whale. I want a dolphin.
So you finished with that question? Yep. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's willing and willingness. And when you are when you're willing to follow your willingness, that is freeing your will. And that is the experience when you experience yourself having free will. and you feel light, and you feel joyful, and you're experiencing, you manifested yourself into two, and you're experiencing the space between the two, and you're experiencing joy in the space, not in the outcome. Just like when you're making love, you don't want to get to the end point. You want to stay in this middle part. Now, ultimately, you want to arrive at the end point, but you're having just as much fun as here, as there. Because once you arrive to the end point, you've got to start again. For some of us, 5 minutes later, some of us 5 days later. I'm more the 5 days later kind of guy.
I thought you said you weren't a machine.
I said 5 days. I'm not a machine. I'm not the 5-minute guy. All right, let's go all over again. I'm done. A one-man type of guy. A one-time kind of guy. Not a one-man type of guy. A one-time type of guy. Can you go that way, please? That way. Thanks. Have a safe flight home. And remember, you're not flying the plane. So, questions. How do you guys feel from what we've spoken about so far? How do you feel? What do you feel within yourself right now? Have some things to ponder on?
I don't know, I just have the feeling.
Microphone, please.
I still have the feeling that, the more familiar territory is the will part. To be willing, it's almost like waiting and not doing anything, which kind of instinctively feels.
Hang on a sec. Waiting and not doing anything. Well, you're doing whatever you're doing right now. Because you're measuring this in a way of doing something grand or doing something for work. I am using my free willy process, if you like, every day, every moment of my life. Like, what do you feel right now? You're making choices based on what you are willing, just in your everyday life, and just getting up in the morning, decide what to wear. Like, you're alive. That space is in every single moment. It's not just in the moment of, following the feeling out. You're following the feeling out all the time. You're breathing in every single moment. You're alive right now. You see, when you're looking for this one moment, you miss the one moment. Because we're always looking for this, we're looking for the one, in a relationship, we're looking for this one thing, our purpose that we're meant to be doing. But really, it's the one moment that's here. We're always looking for this one big thing, but one moment is right here. Like, there's nothing you have to be doing.
That's what I'm saying. It feels strange not to do anything because you kind of...
Because you've been conditioned to be a machine. You've been conditioned to be a machine. You see that movie, The Matrix?
Yeah.
Go watch it again. Go watch the movie, The Matrix again. You have been conditioned that you are a machine. In other words, that you are form. That's not who you are. What do you reckon, John? How's your day been? What's been your process?
My day's been peaceful. I felt that it felt right, what you were saying. By felt, I mean not thought. I'm managing to increasingly not process everything through my mind, which is something that I have historically done.
Yep.
Difficult to explain, but it was a bit what I was talking about earlier, when you feel a slowing down or a disconnection with time or a reconnection with things around you. And I think I'm finally starting to get what you're talking about, which is not listening to what you're saying, but feeling from where it's coming from. So that's what the process has been. The last couple of OMGs and the retreat were very much like that, a connection with, and I've noticed it in other people as well, not just events here. I'm listening to people in a different way. It's not a filter, what's that mean type of listening.
Yeah.
And the good part of that for me is that I've also started to do that with myself instead of over-analysing everything to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautiful. And you know, another word to describe what you're just saying is you're starting to listen to yourself. So you're not sitting here listening to my words, you're listening to your feelings when I'm speaking my words. That's what you're doing. And that's why you walk away and you're starting to listen to yourself. Because when you're sitting here, you're listening to it. You're not listening to me, you're listening to your feelings. You're listening to how you feel when I'm speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things resonate from what you've said before, that we get in our own way. And what came to me is that we tend to overcomplicate things, and we're looking for, as you say, the big grandeur things in what we do and in that feeling, but it's that we're missing all those little opportunities along the way, like you said, eating a meal, or just when you're doing things just on automatic pilot in the morning when you're saying goodbye to your loved ones or whatever, instead of just automatically giving them a hug, have a nice day, like a machine, actually taking the time in that moment to feel that moment.
And give him a hug as though you're hugging him for the very first time.
Exactly.
That's it. Beautiful. Thank you, David.
I'm getting present a lot more to when I'm trying to make things happen, the feelings in my body.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes it's stomach tension, or there's anxiety, and or there's effort there.
Yeah.
And then even lunchtime today, I had a thing where just, what am I going to do? Then just let it go. I didn't think about it, and it just went smoothly. And it's much more effort to be trying to make things happen. It's so much easier just to let it happen.
Yeah.
And then it turns out probably better than you think it might do. So.
And when you experience that enough times, that's when you will start to believe what you know. Because the problem right here is that you guys don't believe what you know. Everything that I'm speaking, you feel it and you know it to be true. Not to be right. You used the word right before. I just want to correct that. And I'll use the word correct. But it feels true. It feels true to you. If you say it's right what I said, then what I said is right. It feels true. So at the beginning, you know, you guys feel this and you know it. You know it because, like you know what I'm saying to be true for you. Not for me, for you. You know it, otherwise you wouldn't be here still after 9-10 months. Okay, you know it to be true. There's going to be a point where you will begin to believe what you know. And that is the alignment of the head and heart. So therefore, that's when you begin to notice that you are the pilot. You are not this body. Okay, that is when the external and the internal world become one of the same, as always described. All right? You got to get to the point where you believe what you know. That's when you start to live it. That's when you start to allow yourself to go there and be willing. Okay? When you begin to believe what you know. You can't just believe, you can't just know. You got to believe what you know. Some people just know, some people just have a lot of belief. And then some people begin to believe what they know, but then the ego will hijack the belief, and the belief will become greater than what you know. No, it's got to be equal. You believe in what you know. The belief can't be greater, because the belief comes from form. So in other words, the form begins to believe what it knows. Some people call that faith, but I call that, a true knowing, a direct experience. So yes, you'll keep noticing that, keep noticing it, until one day you start believing yourself. Do you know how you lose trust in yourself? Just so you know the opposite. You want to know? Because you're just sitting there going, I'll tell you if you want to know. You want to know? Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you then. You lose trust in yourself. In other words, you won't believe yourself, right? When you feel something, right, and you say, I'm going to do or follow this feeling, and you don't, right? Next time you say, I'm going to do this, a little voice in your head goes, no, you're not. And some of you already got that little voice, because there's been so many times you said you're going to do something. I remember one of the first trainings my mum used to give me. If you say you're going to do this, do this. I remember one day I was telling, I can't remember, something to do with wearing a suit, or when I was running one of my companies, and wearing a suit. And one day I decided not to wear a suit that day. She goes, I thought you were wearing a suit today. She goes, you told everyone you're wearing a suit tomorrow. I was like, yeah, but I decided not to. She goes, why? You said you're going to do it. You have to do what you say you're going to do. And I was just going, relax, Mum, I just didn't want to wear it anymore, But later on, as I pondered, I realized if I say something and I don't do it, I stop believing myself. But guess what happens if I say something, and it doesn't matter about what the result is. Doesn't matter if people hate me, reject me, what's in the story, whatever's a risk. If I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. For myself, not for others. So when you say something, when you say you're going to... Now, if I say something I'm going to do which was purely ego, I'm okay to say, wow, that was complete ego, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let that go. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm not talking about the stubbornness of the ego. I'm talking about if I say I'm going to follow this feeling that arose for me, to give somebody something, to act on something, to say something, I will do it. So next time a feeling arises, which is all the time, right? When I say I'm going to do it, I believe myself. Most people don't believe themselves because they say it, they say they're going to do it. In the moment, they're like, yes. Then they go think about it and they're like, oh no, I can't do that. You don't believe yourself. Their little voice is just getting stronger and more dominant. And every time you feel something and you go, yeah, I'm going to do it. This is it. I'm going to quit today. Or your little voice goes, no, you won't. You've said that hundreds of times. And you know what? You know it's right. So, that is our month of will.